Today, we're going to be talking to you, Coach, about one of the most important hires you could ever make in your business. Now, I understand you may need a lawyer, you may need a CPA, but don't overlook this information today. Stick around. We'll coming up next. Welcome to the LVTV podcast, where we talk all things content, clients, and cash flow for the profit and impact focused coaches and consultants. And we have a very, very, very special guest. I know I say that every time because everybody is special in their own right, but we have like the legend. Like, this is the silent assassin. This is the person who will just get you right and you don't even see them coming, but also serves at a high level. Bianca, how are you today?
I'm well, thank you, Liv. Thank you for the introductions. Very nice to know that's what people think of me. So I really
You're the best in the
appreciate
business.
it.
You're the best
Thank
in the
you.
business. Like, I can't imagine somebody being better than you. Like, that would
Thank you.
be like really like okay, but no, you are the best at it. You are the executive assistant. If I could, no, right? Is that the correct title?
There's been so many.
Right.
I think that's what I started at. But at the moment, it's operations manager.
Booyah. There it is. Promotion all over her for Client Attraction
Yes.
University. She has been the machine behind the machine, keeping it all going and flowing correctly. So, Bianca, I'm so glad to have you here because I think you're qualified to talk about this topic of the most important hire outside of a CPA and a lawyer is an assistant or an executive assistant. Would you agree?
I do. And I actually had an interview with Marquel as well, where he was asking me similar questions. And he asked me what was the one piece of advice that I would give to someone. And mine is you can't do it all yourself.
Yes.
You obviously start your business and it's a one-person show and you feel that you can do everything because it's your baby, it's your business, and nobody knows it as well as what you do. But you get to the point where you can't do it anymore all by yourself. And you then start dropping the ball on whether it's more money coming into your business, whether it's social media, whether it's other forms of marketing, and just overall in your business, you start dropping the ball. And that's because the most successful businesses out there can't do it all by themselves. So they've got various team members that actually implement what they're supposed to.
Yeah.
And as an entrepreneur, as a coach, as a business consultant, whatever you want to call yourself, you can't do it all yourself. And I've seen it so many times because of the industry that we're in. And everybody will start their business and they then do it all themselves, and they get to the point where, okay, now they can scale. They can bring on a VA, they can bring on an executive assistant, and then it all comes crashing down. And then they blame it on the VA because they don't want to take the blame for it.
Right.
But that's not the core of what the issue is.
Yeah.
So let me backtrack a little bit. So yes, sure, you've now hired a VA or an executive assistant and you start handing things over to them. But if you're not, for example, communicating to the VA about specific things that they need to do or how they need to do those specific things, then they're not going to end up doing it the way that you want them to do it.
Exactly.
Which means they're going to end up dropping the ball, which means your business is going to end up failing because there's no communication. You've given this person the authority to do things, or you expect them to do these things, but there's no communication between the two. So it goes back to the mistake of you growing too quickly and you just hiring.
Just to be hiring.
And just to be getting things off your plate. But then it just explodes.
It doesn't work.
It doesn't work. And I've seen it so many times. And it gives virtual assistants a bad name in the
Mm-hmm.
industry, because a business owner will be like, no, but I've used a VA before and it just didn't work out.
No,
And
no.
again, Markwell asked me the same thing. He's like, Bianca, I know a lot of business owners who've used multiple VAs and
Right.
they all come back saying that they didn't have a good experience. I was like, well, did did they communicate with the VA?
Yeah.
Did they say, okay, this is the task I want you to do, this is how you execute the task? Did
Yes.
they have that type of communication?
Yes.
And then McCall, his response was, no, actually
Nothing.
they didn't.
You got to show them what done looks like, right? This is what this task
Exactly.
looks like done. But let's pause that because you're giving away a good value early on. I love it. I was like, well, let's go, right? But before we get more into the value of this episode, I want to hear from you because I know a little bit about your story, and you didn't
Mhm.
always start out being an assistant, an executive assistant, or operations manager. Like, where were you? What was going on in your life where the light bulb went off and you was like, "This is what I need to be doing"? What was that moment for you?
So early on, going back to the fourth grade, early on years, we had an entrepreneur day at school, and I didn't know what to take to school. I didn't know what entrepreneurship meant at that age. I was just very confused. So my mom's a teacher herself, and she was like, well, just like do a bake sale or something easy, and you obviously have to go and buy your own ingredients, do the markup, do a business plan, all that kind of stuff. And when it got to the day of actually selling these items, I was sold out within minutes. And this was
Mm,
literally just fudge that I made. It wasn't even different kinds of biscuits or cookies or cakes, it was just fudge. And the rest of my school career, I actually had a deal with the school principal where every Friday I would make fudge because that's just how it exploded.
yeah.
And I did that for the rest of my school career. And as I finished school, my mom's like, well, what do you want to do in your life? I was like, well, I don't really know, but I just see myself sitting behind a computer screen and just dealing with things without actually dealing with people face to face.
Mm,
And without knowing it, that is what I described myself as. And that's exactly what I'm doing.
yes.
Exactly what I'm doing. But there were a few things that I obviously had to go through before I got to that. So, in a summary, I did telemarketing, I did sales, I did customer service, I did au pairing, I did teaching, I did a whole bunch of things. But when I was working in a call center, and I was promoted to call center manager and all that
Hmm.
kind of good
Hmm.
stuff, but I didn't like dealing with people face to face. And I was like, this is going against what I told my mom all those
Mm,
years ago. And I then started looking at ways of making money after hours and things like that. And I then got through to Fiverr, which we all know.
yes.
And I started with basic things like translating of documents, setting up CRM systems and things like that. And I met this one client who eventually helped me take my services off Fiverr, and we did things just through her and I instead of going through a third party.
Hmm.
And she literally recommended me to all the clients that I had within, I think, 6 months of
Mm,
starting after hours freelance
yeah.
services. And I didn't know that this is what a virtual assistant is at the time.
Mm,
Someone else actually is like, well, you're a virtual assistant. I'm like, well, what's that? And she's like, well, look it up. So I looked it up and I was like, you know what? A VA isn't just admin. A
mm,
VA is a marketing assistant. A
yes.
VA is a bookkeeper, a CPA, anything that you can assist someone with virtually. So again, virtual assistant, a lot of people think is just admin, and
Hmm.
it's not.
Hmm.
Um, and when I started with Client Attraction University, I started as just admin.
Hmm.
And then slowly but surely, I started doing other things like billing. I did customer service. I did a bit of tech support, like all these things.
Yeah.
And like the majority, if not everyone at CAU, isn't based in the same place. So we
Right.
all actually assisting each other virtually.
Yeah.
And that's the way that the world's going. I know I'm jumping around with
No,
my
no, you're
story,
good.
but
I'm
it's
listen. I'm loving this, right? I'm loving this because you're giving people the value that they need and understanding that journey. So I love it, but I want to skip because I think you're going where I think you're going. I'm gonna skip your head. So through your journey, not knowing, you just doing it, because I really love how you said, I told my mom that I'll be sitting in front of a computer and taking care of it. Like, that's just genius to have that type of self-awareness at that age. So now my
mm.
question to you is, like, with that, how has being a virtual assistant been a benefit to you? Like, I'm curious, like, how has that worked out?
So first thing is I'll never go back to working for anyone other than myself. And the reason for that, it's not just monetary reasons, but it's the freedom of I'm based in South Africa, but I'm working with someone based in the US,
Mm-hmm.
meaning there's a time difference,
Mm-hmm.
meaning I can do whatever I want in my morning time. I can go
Mm-hmm.
shopping, I can go take a trip somewhere. And then when it actually comes down to working hours, that's when I'm available.
Yeah.
Yes, it is a little bit more stressful because you have to be diligent and you have to have the right type of personality to be able to do the work. But if you have that mindset of I'm working for myself, I'm
Mm-hmm.
not working for a boss, I'm
Mm-hmm.
not paying someone else's Lamborghini at the end of the
Yeah.
month, I'm paying for my own things. It just changes because then you know, okay, I can push myself a little bit more. I can
Mm-hmm.
do this. I can learn more.
Mm-hmm.
Every day there's something new that I learn.
Yeah.
There's different platforms and systems and things like that. So, one, it's money, definitely. Two, it's the time freedom. Three, it's learning, that you never stop learning.
Never.
And if I look back at my corporate job as an example, there's always you have to climb the ladder.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're not the right age, if you're not the right gender, if you're not the right race, there's so much politics involved. Whereas me working by myself, I don't have to worry about any of
Right.
that.
Right. Right.
So there's an endless opportunity.
I love it.
Endless.
So let's jump into it. What are some things that coaches and consultants should, like, what are some of the mistakes that they're making when hiring a VA that you've seen? Like, and you already alluded to it earlier, communication. So we'll just pick up from
Mhm.
there. Not communicating thoroughly or over communicating will probably be number one at the top of your list.
Yes.
What are two more mistakes that coaches and consultants are making?
So another one would be expectation, meaning you hire a VA and you think they can do everything for you. So there's different types of VAs. So there's someone that could be purely based on admin. Then there could be someone purely based on marketing or finances. So don't expect someone to know everything. You can obviously teach them, and over time, you can train them to do specific things. No problem. Just don't expect them to know everything at the drop of a hat.
Yes.
So, expectation would be one of them. And then, thirdly, I would say they are severely underpaid.
Mm.
And what I mean by that is a lot of people think a VA is just an admin.
Right.
And what I mean by that is it's cheap labor.
Right.
It is someone that, don't get me wrong, I don't I don't have anything against people from the Philippines, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure they get a bad rap about it as well.
Mm-hmm.
And they
Mm-hmm.
also feel undervalued because a lot of people think, okay, well, I'm not going to pay my VA $20 an hour. I'm going to go and hire someone for $5 an hour.
Right.
But but then you look at the quality of work, you look at language barrier, you look at the experience, you look at all these kind of things, you look at the quality of life for that VA as well. So
Mm-hmm.
and it gets me so angry, Lev,
Yeah,
when
yeah,
people just
yeah. I
they
get it.
just don't. It 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 really makes me upset, and it's like they a business owner themselves.
Right,
They need to pay their own taxes. They
right.
need to pay for whatever other expenses they have for their business. So pay
Yeah,
them what they're worth. Pay
exactly.
them for the work that they're doing for you. Don't treat them as in South Africa we've got a term called a skivvy,
Mm,
meaning just don't treat them like what they less than.
yeah.
And I would say that's the third one.
Yeah, no, I love
That's
it
definitely.
because I hired someone through you, and when I got the prices, I was like, whoa! But then I said, hold
Yes.
up, this makes sense to price it this way because the
Mm-hmm.
Philippine thing is like $3 or $4 an hour for labor, and it's like that doesn't make sense to me, right? Especially being here in
Mm-hmm.
America where people are fighting for $15 an hour. Why would I pay somebody three to help me bring in money for my like
Mm-hmm.
why pay cheap labor if I want to be lucrative and scale and do all those things? So it just doesn't, even the math that way doesn't make sense. So I love that. I love those three pieces. So from your perspective, what are a couple things that coaches should be doing when considering to hire a VA or consider to hire an assistant to help them with their business?
So the first thing is to have a discovery call with the potential VA that they're looking to
Mm,
hire, and
good.
a discovery call isn't necessarily an interview. It's more of a conversation,
Hmm.
because if the business owner and the VA is not going to be a good fit personality wise, then they're going to clash when it comes to doing various things in the business. So on the discovery call, you can obviously ask them things like their experience, what the expectations are to work with the client, what the client's expectations are, so that everybody's on the same page, but also go a little bit more personal. So tell each other about your families. Tell the VA needs to tell the client, okay, listen, I am working with three other clients, so
Mm,
I'm not your full-time VA.
hmm.
So again, that goes back to expectation. And the nice thing about working with the VA is they can either be dedicated, like a dedicated VA, or they can have multiple clients if you don't need a full-time VA.
Mm,
So those kind of things are important to mention in the discovery call. And once you have the discovery call with the VA and you're like, okay, I really like this VA, they've got the right type of personality, their rates are what I can afford, all that kind of good thing. Always make sure there's some sort of contract or agreement in place,
yes, yes.
because a lot of VAs struggle to get payments out of clients,
Mm,
and that just becomes a big legal thing.
mm,
And a lot of the VAs then don't want to go to court, whether it's small claims court or anything further. But
yeah.
obviously, you need to just come to an agreement of, okay, the VA won't share any sensitive information. The client will make sure payments are done on time and all those kind of things. And then the third thing is training.
Mm,
So when I started with CAU, I was taken aback by the kind of training that Marquel gave me.
yeah.
And he was hands on with everything. He
Yeah.
still is. And he'll do explainer videos,
Hmm.
or now we do them via Loom.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
he just goes through the things step by step by step. And the nice thing about doing it like that is you don't have to have an hour consultation
Right.
to train your VA. You can shoot the Loom video, and you can have a project management platform set up, and you can say, okay, here's my VA, here is the training video,
Hmm.
here's the list of tasks that I need you to do. If you get stuck, rewatch the Loom video.
Right.
And everyone's happy because it eliminates the back and forth between the client and the VA, and the VA knows exactly what they need to do.
Exactly.
If the VA is in a different time zone, as for example, the VA can go through everything before the client's even woken up, and
Hmm.
the tasks will be done, which is a nice thing because you
Yes.
wake up, work is done.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's the three things that I would also say about how to successfully onboard a VA.
I love it.
But
I love how you just said successfully on board. I love that.
yes, yes, yes.
All right. Yeah. So before we get there, because I don't want to keep you away from your task for today, what are some of what would you say? Like, if you can give one piece of advice for a coach or consultant that's hiring a VA that you haven't mentioned, what would be that one thing? You're like, I can only give them one sentence. What would that be?
Hmm.
Yeah, I know it's not an
Uh,
easy one, right? It's not an
no,
easy
it's
question.
not.
I love it.
Um, I would say trust your VA the same way you would trust yourself to run your
Mm,
business.
mm,
So if you don't trust your VA enough, they're not going to feel valued enough to actually do the tasks that you give them to do. If you have that trust with them, they will successfully do what you need them to do.
mm. I love it. I love it. That's why I told she's an assassin, like straight to it. Bing, bing, and you out of here. You out of here. I love it. I love it. Bianca, thank you so
Thanks.
much for coming on the LVTV podcast and sharing your wisdom and experience. But I also want to give you an opportunity, like, how can people, if they're looking for a VA, like, I highly recommend, if you're listening, watching this episode, and you're looking to hire a VA, I highly recommend you reach out to Bianca and her team and see if there's someone available to work with you for your business needs. How can they reach out to you?
So you can reach out to me via my website. It's workwithava.co.za. All the information's on there. The process of how we hire VAs and all that good stuff is there. Or you can get hold of me on Facebook, Bianca Pearson, and that's it. It's
Yeah.
easy.
And we'll have all her information down in the show notes. So if you're serious about getting some help to really take your business to the next level, I'm telling you, like, I give my full vetting stamp of approval behind Bianca. Like, whatever she tells you to do or recommends, I guarantee you it's going to work out for your good. It may not start out because you may have to work out some kinks, but it's going to work out long term for your good, for you to be profitable and for you to make that impact that you want to do as a coach or consultant. With that being said, if you made it this far in the podcast, you've watched, you're listening, make sure you rate, review, and subscribe. Send this to one other friend, one other coach or consultant. Say, hey, I think you need to, like, listen to this conversation. We was just talking about hiring. You need to listen to this episode right here. So thank you so much. With that being said, Bianca, appreciate you coming on.
Thank you, Liv. Thanks for the invite.
Oh, anytime. Anytime you want to come on here, this is your spot. I promise you, you can have
Thank you.
an episode or 3 whenever you're ready. So with that being said, guys, have a good one. Continue to be social on social media.